So I want to talk about a metronome practice technique that I've developed and used successfully over the years, actually. If you think about how you use a metronome, how you practice against a metronome, what you do is you'll choose a scale or a passage or something that you want to work on. You'll set the metronome at a rate that you can play comfortably, and then over time, as you slowly increase the metronome speed and you try and play along with that. And eventually you hit a point where you hit your limit. You can no longer keep just incrementing that metronome. And you've got a choice then. You can either stay there and continue to drill at that limit and see if you can just push it a little bit further and a little bit further. Or you can back off. You can slow things down again and start another progression and see if you can get any further. So which is best? Well, I've found, my experience has been, if you stay at that limit too long, well, you're going to be making mistakes. It's natural. You're at the limit of your playing, that you're going to make mistakes when you're playing at that limit. And the problem is, if you keep making the same mistake over and over again, then you get a training effect on that mistake. It habituates. It's like any other motor skill. Your body doesn't differentiate between good technique and bad technique. It just learns the thing that you repeat over and over. And so that mistake turns into a bad habit, and that's how at speed you get sloppy technique. So how can you deal with this? Well, you can back off and you can focus on your technique, get the technique right again, and then push forward. So I find using metronome as a series of waves, if you like, is the best approach. This kind of wave training, if you like. Now, what I wanted to do was, or back then what I was trying to do, was to see if I could get more efficient in a technique like this, because the problem is that you're continually messing around with the metronome. You're having to stop your playing and then reset the metronome and start again, and then stop and reset and start and stop. And the other thing I was interested in is how long should I make each one of these progressions? How far should I push things? And when I reset, how far back should I reset to? So I'm a software engineer by background. And what I decided to do is create some metronomes and make them dynamic, so they changed the rate over time, and just started exploring some of these parameters. And those are the metronomes that I tend to use, actually, are my own sort of dynamic metronomes rather than just a fixed standard metronome. Now, all of my programs are just hacked together pieces of crap, basically, so I'm not going to distribute them because they'll just crash on you. But what I did find was that there were a set of parameters that I keep coming back to, and I generally just use these. So what I've done is I've rendered these fixed parameters into a series of YouTube videos, and then I created a channel on YouTube called Ramping Metronome, and all of the videos are available on there. So there's some 30 videos on there, and they're all based on the same set of parameters. So they're all 10 minutes long, because I found 10 minutes a good chunk of time to work on a passage. And they all ramp by about 20 beats a minute over that 10-minute period. And I've found that that's slow enough for the ramp to be imperceptible at any instant, but by the end you feel a difference from the start. And so each video differentiates from the previous by 5 beats a minute. So you'll find one, for example, starts from 100 beats a minute and ramps up to 120, and the next one starts from 105 beats a minute and ramps up to 125, and then 110, 115. So that's what's on this YouTube channel. And the way you use this, the approach that I recommend, is that you choose a video where the start time is something that you can play comfortably. You want to be working on a technique at the start of the video. And then you use the video, you play against it for the duration, for the 10 minutes. And at the end of the video, you assess yourself. First thing you need to decide is, were you playing slow enough at the start? Were you really working on technique at the start, or were you still making mistakes? Because if you were making mistakes, you need to slow down. You need to play within your comfort zone at the start of the video. And then look at the other end of the video. How did you feel when you reached the end of that video? Did you feel like you could push further, or do you feel like you were hitting your limits? Because if you're hitting your limits, just stay on that video and use it again. But if you want to push further, what I'd recommend you do is you take the next video in the sequence. So again, if you're working from 100 to 120, you then move on to 105 to 125. So what that's doing is automatically backing you off, so you focus on technique and then you push forward and work on speed again. And then you move on to the next video starting at 110. So again, you're backing off, working on technique, and then pushing forward, working on speed. So it's a bit like waves, the tide coming in. So each wave is washing in and out, but overall the progress of the tide is the tide's coming in. And it's exactly the same with these videos. And I've found that this is a really powerful technique, a really powerful way of developing a technique really quite efficiently. The other thing I'd say is what I like to do is to do, say, 3 in a row and then stop, because I don't want to develop RSI. That's the other thing. But you're in control of your own body. You decide how you should put rest into this as well. But I'd recommend you do think about this as well. But that's it. So, as I say, 30 videos, they're all online, they're all on YouTube. I'll put links in the video and I'll put links in the description field. Give them a go. See if I can make you a convert to this way of training as well. Good luck with it, and we'll chat next time. Goodbye.